hearing person can. It wasn't a conscious decision to hide my disability in my writing. Honestly, it's all but impossible to hide. When you meet me, right from the second I say hello, it's the most obvious thing about me. I rely on lip reading and will jockey for an ideal position to see your face. I speak the way I hear, which is to say, not very well. Every new conversation partner cocks his or her head like a Springer Spaniel, trying to place the foreign country behind my heavy accent. When people can't remember my name, they refer to me as the deaf one. It's never the writer, the runner, or even the one with the brown hair. I would kill to be the one with the brown hair. But no, it's the deaf one. That is the quickest point of reference. It's better than other names I've been called. When I was 8 years old, my older brother Cris told me the kids in the neighborhood were building a fort. We excitedly rushed down to the end of the block where we saw an elaborate structure constructed from tree branches and colorful bed sheets. A sign at the entrance declared in crayon, "No grown-ups allowed." Cris and I stood there, slack-jawed at just how cool it all was. "Let's go in," he said, running toward the entrance. I quickly followed. We were stopped by Elise, the oldest kid on the block. "What's the password?" she said in a stern voice, her arms crossed across her chest. Cris and I looked at each other. "Password?" I asked. Elise nodded. "We need to make sure no grown-ups get in." To a group of kids, this logic made perfect sense. "Open sesame?" Cris shrugged. Elise shook her head. "Abracadabra?" Still no. "Shazam?" Elise rolled her eyes. "Fine, I'll tell you," she said, exasperated. She leaned in and whispered the password into his ear. Cris repeated it and was granted entry. The look on his face as he pulled back the curtain let me know something amazing was in store. I couldn't wait to get in. "Come here," Elise said to me, leaning in. I pulled back, craning my neck to look at her mouth. "I said," she sighed, "come here." "You can't whisper to her," Cris said. "She needs to see your mouth." "But what if the grown-ups hear?" was her reply. We looked around. There wasn't a grown-up in sight. Still, if there was one thing we knew, it was that adults, moms in particular, had supersonic hearing. We really couldn't be too careful. "I got it," Cris said. Silently, he mouthed to me. "The password is..." "The password is..." I parroted. "Super." "Super!" I exclaimed. Elise shushed me. I was too loud. What if the grown-ups heard? "What's the rest of it?" she demanded. I looked at my brother. "Calla..." "Collie?" It made no sense. "Fraja..." "What?" I squinted. "Fraja," he repeated with urgency. He knew what was happening. I hadn't yet seen the movie Mary Poppins, and supercalifragilisticexpialidocious was not in my vocabulary. Super was a word I recognized and could lip read. The rest of it was gibberish, and I was racking my brain trying to connect what my brother was saying to a word or phrase I recognized. It was futile. As Cris repeated the word over and over, the kids from inside the fort stepped outside to see what was happening. With every failed attempt, I felt my face getting redder. And then it happened. I knew the words all too well. "Your sister's retarded," Elise said. The other kids thought it was funny. "Retard!" They laughed, slapping limp hands against their chests, mocking me. Hot tears stung my eyes. My brother sprinted out of the tent and grabbed my hand. "Let's go." "But the fort!" I cried. "The fort's stupid." My brother huffed, yanking my arm. "Let's go." My mom tried to console me that night, telling me it would get better. It never really did. 30 years later, I've come to accept that I don't quite fit in the deaf world. I don't know sign language. I went to mainstream schools where I was usually the only kid with a disability, and I have never been a part of deaf culture. As for the hearing world, well, it isn't quite sure what to do with me either. To compensate, I've tried to be as normal as possible. In elementary school, I discovered that if I didn't make my deafness a thing, most other people wouldn't either. I learned to sit in the front row of classes so I wouldn't have to ask my teachers to repeat themselves.